Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday, and welcome to this episode of Washington Live, powered by KCTC. I'm your host, Jaron Rosien. Our producer is Nick Steffens. Our publisher is Matt Bryant, and we're part of the Southeast Iowa Union. We started a touch late today, but we'll talk about that communication path after the first break. Our guest after the first break will be Mary Audia, the Executive Director of the Washington Economic Development Group. Looking forward to that conversation. Nick, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good today. How about you?
I'm well.
Yeah.
Although since we do talk about our clothing things, I decided to wear a sweater today, and then
of course I wear a sweater.
You're wearing a sweater. We're just similar minds.
Same way.
Practical. Probably because it's 43 degrees and mostly sunny. I like it. It was, as I was coming back from my morning routine, the thermometer in my truck said it feels great. I like it.
I think I'll get used to it. It's just the change. I hate that part. Once it gets down, once it's 20 degrees every day, and that just becomes the new normal, I'll be less cranky. But now I'm kind of cranky about everything.
Oh well, that's all right. I'm with you though. It intrigues me every year how what is very, very cold doesn't feel cold after we get used to it, and what.
Especially after 4 years of trudging through Cedar Falls when it was negative 35 on some days.
Far north. Let's move into it. We have our police report that you've pulled for me since, I guess, Diana was and I played pickleball with Diana today. It was super fun.
Oh, nice.
Actually saw her right outside when I was coming in. I wanted to shout to offer the show to her today, but I appreciate that. I very much enjoyed watching it. Since Diana last spoke, we've had 52 calls for service, traffic leading the way with 10, welfare check 4, suspicious activity 4, assault 4, fire call 3, disorderly 3, hang up 911 3, and then we get to the 3s, the 2s, and the 1s with the harassment, animal, vandalism, assist, public service, and so on. Let's see what you've pulled. On the north side of the county, we have caller reports he believes someone is downstairs in his residence. 9210 responded and assisted Johnson County. No one was located inside the home.
Another ghost.
There's some creepy stuff.
It's like the third or fourth time it's happened.
It is our third or fourth ghost call.
Yeah.
Second this week, or in the last week, I think.
I think they've all happened in the past 2 weeks.
Maybe it's these weather changes. I don't know how people.
The house is just making noises.
Good.
I don't know.
Be curious. In the north side of the county again, we have a report that the caller is being scammed again, but from different people this time. Request to speak with a deputy. 9210 again spoke with the caller. Documentation.
Fool me
that stuff
once.
makes me sick to my stomach,
Yeah.
especially if you can't reverse it. That overseas, it makes no bueno. Here in town, we have the report of a vehicle. Let's see. Vehicle with a license listed here left garbage at the car wash. Request the subject be trespassed from the property. 111 responded and spoke with the caller. Documentation. You typically leave garbage at the car wash into the trash can.
I assume
this had to be egregious.
See, so I think that's listed as illegal dumping. I think there should just be a new category, just being a jerk, and that should be an offense.
We can tell dispatch.
Yeah.
See if they can put that in there. I didn't even get a drink. Let's see. Franklin Street. So we're going west. Caller reports there's a male subject curled in a ball in front of the garage. 9210 responded. Male will be sleeping and will be moving on. That reminds me. So there was a welfare check on someone in the park. The call for the welfare check was man was shaking with a pipe.
I saw that, yeah.
Well, we've had different speculation because immediately I thought, so some people thought, he's shaking with a pipe. He's going to beat someone with this long pipe.
Yeah.
I thought, he's shaking with a pipe. Someone has a crack pipe and they're overdosing.
That's what I would have assumed.
Luckily, all of which was not founded. They were just, it was like a nice day. They were taking a nap at a park bench.
Were they cold and shivering?
I'm not sure what the shaking was, but it turned out to be unfounded and not an issue. So no of what I said or the other. One other to report, we have along Highway 1, a caller reporting a broken window in the garage and cough drops were on the steps. 9210 responded, cough drops had been left by someone for the caller. Reading between the lines, I love reading between the lines. That's a good one.
I think it's the calling card, the cough drop criminal or something.
No, the cough drops were left out of graciousness, like they were left with intention. And so it was a coincidence with the broken window. which could have been wind.
I like my theory better.
Okay, fine. We are going to go to break in a second. Is there anything we're missing first?
I think we're good.
Well, we've got story time after the break, background time, and then all of the going-ons in Washington in the category of economic development with our guest, Mary Audia. Stick around after the break. We'll see you then.
Federation Bank is a locally owned bank providing award-winning customer service. We believe that we are more than just a federation of banks, but a federation of communities, serving Brighton, Richland, Wellman, and Washington, Iowa. Federation Bank's highly skilled staff is here to make sure you are able to accomplish your personal and professional goals, whatever they may be. Federation Bank, your family bank.
Hospice isn't a place, it's a type of care that focuses on living. Servicing a 7-county area, the Hospice of Washington County staff of nurses, social work, hospice aides, spiritual and grief support, volunteers, music and massage therapists are able to provide free end-of-life care where the patient lives. We write wills, give consent for organ donation, but rarely is there a plan for what we would want the final phase of our lives. At Hospice of Washington County, we encourage our patients to be in charge of their healthcare decisions while maintaining quality of life.
All right. Hey, Vina, do you know that my wife gets really mad at me because I have a terrible sense of direction? Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Well, it's true. So I packed up my stuff and write.
Welcome back to Washington Live, powered by KCTC. I'm Jaron. We have Nick, and now our guest, Mary, with the Economic Development Group. Hi, Mary.
Good morning.
Good morning. I knew we'd be doing earth tones today, as mentioned. And we started a little bit late. You cannot make it up. So what happened when I called you, and I'm like, hey, everything okay?
Well, I was like, Jaron, I'm here at KCII. And I said, I talked to these really, really nice guys. And I said, I'm meeting with Jaron and Nick. And they were both like, wait, who are you?
Especially because there's a new Nick at KCII. And we have Nick here.
Which explains a lot because it's happened to me about, I think, twice around town where people think that I work for KCII. So now I know that there's a new Nick there doing audio stuff.
And there was some overlap, and I was just recording ads with Joe yesterday, and I know, that can be a thing. But I love and care for Joe. I get to golf with him and their team, and I want to keep that all nice. But then I'm like, oh no, like that's not great. Well, that aside, and which is fun to cover, I wanted to do the usual, talk about a little background, and then talk a bit more about what's going on in economic development. You have a fascinating path to the job. Would you share with our viewers how you've landed in this role and what happened along the way?
Sure. And like I was telling you guys, I've been listening to your podcasts, and so it's been interesting to hear the different guests that you've had on. Sounds like there's been a few interesting paths to get here to Washington, but somehow we get here, and it's fabulous.
So you've been seeing it, yeah. Absolutely.
So I was born in Cedar Rapids, and then grew up on a farm east of Anamosa.
Yes. Tiny
Little town called Olin. It's in Jones County. I went to UNI, got my Panther degree.
You have an overlap, yep.
Bachelor's in business. And then I was a buyer for Von Maur department stores for a while, so I got to spend some time in New York and definitely appreciated Iowa during that time.
During that moment?
Oh, yes. It was fun, but I couldn't wait to get back home. And then I ended up becoming a recruiter for Palmer College in Davenport, Iowa.
That's right. That's how I'm like trying to remember how it began with Palmer.
Yeah. So I did that for 3 years. I had the western third of the U.S., Alaska and Hawaii were my territory.
Did you travel to Alaska and Hawaii to recruit?
I did. I know.
What a lovely reason to be there.
Yeah, it was great fun. So I got to reach out to a lot of high school counselors, to colleges, to undergrads, to recruit students to our program. Ended up recruiting myself. got my doctorate degree, and then ended up practicing in Seattle, Washington, then moved to Austin, Texas, opened a practice there, and then moved back home to Iowa and opened one in Coralville.
Where does your, and we don't have to go in anything that you don't want to talk about, but where's the love story fall
With
into
Dominic?
play? Where did you meet along this
So,
path?
yeah, we actually met in college. And he's from Calgary, Alberta, originally. He came down to the States to go to college. And I was supposed to do observations of an upperclassman. I didn't realize I was supposed to be observing the technique, not the person.
Not the person.
So,
We fall in love.
yeah, then we fell in love. So, yeah.
And Dominic teaches is it at West?
He's in the Iowa City School District now.
Iowa City School District,
he's
yes.
a curriculum coordinator this year. So he changed roles a little
And
bit.
an award-winning educator, as I recall. Just
yeah.
so happy for his success.
He's up for Presidential Teaching Award this year, so we're still waiting on results of that.
Well,
So,
best wishes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
And then we have one more career shift that we get to talk about now.
Right. So then after I sold my practice, which is still in Coralville, Iowa.
Wonderful.
I had a non-compete, of course, with a sale of a business. And so I decided, what am I going to do when I grow up? So I ended up actually with a solar company and also with Costco doing business outreach. So I was an engagement coordinator for Costco.
Okay.
So that was great fun. And then one day, Mark Nolte from Iowa City reached out and
Yes, I
said,
know
"Hey,
Mark.
Mayor, what about economic development?" And I said, I would love it. And I'd been to Washington a few times to eat at the restaurants here.
Yeah.
So impressed. I mean, the town square is amazing. The people were so friendly. So I was like, yeah, I would
This
love
could
it.
fit.
So,
This could fit
yeah.
great.
So I've been here almost 2 years now.
I was just going to ask how much has flown by.
Yeah,
I remember
yeah.
it being in that interview with the panel, as a city partner, which we
Yeah.
appreciate. Of course, the Economic Development Group is countywide, not just city, but
Right.
there's many city partners. And it surprises me that was 2 years ago already.
I know. Yeah.
Well, let's hop in. Let's cover one thing going on in economic development, and then we'll go to break, and we'll cover a few of the others that you sent pictures on.
Okay.
Shall we talk about the success at Brava, which is
Sure.
one of the older things, not one of the newer things, but it relates to housing development and collaboration. Why don't you summarize, and I'll help fill in. But
Oh, good,
let's talk about
Jaron.
how we,
Yeah.
because you kind of picked that up to
Right.
carry it. How would
Right.
you describe that project?
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly. A great collaboration between WEDG, the city, and a number of other players that got into that. And from what I can recollect, and please help me fill in
sure.
the blanks, Jaron, my predecessor, David Collins, and Brent Hinson,
Yep.
the city manager before Deanna, had met with the folks at White Cell.
Yep, so
I
they were
believe.
doing a lot of that work, and I got to
Yes.
kind of just tag along a little and help
Yes.
carry the ball forward.
Yeah, and then evidently they were going to be moving out of Washington.
Yes.
And there was some sort of goodwill or agreement that was made between the city, WEDG, and White Cell about maybe acquiring that property. And then the city wanted more of the housing component, and WEDG wanted more of the industry component.
Yep, spot on.
Yeah, and so they
This was
ended
a
up.
win-win, Nick. This was a
Yeah.
building that the building would have been a burden to the manufacturer that was leaving. Economic development was in contact with a manufacturer that needed to grow. The city really needed to grow housing, and they had all this property adjacent, which in theory could have been expansion of industry, so factory all the way up to the edge of the housing on 12th. So it was I would say it was a win-win-win
Yeah.
because of those houses that were there,
Yeah.
the lots being similar. The city was the fiduciary, but then we split and kind of all grew together in that regard. Let's show the picture. Yeah, the Brava is
which-
the one.
You got to give me some assistance on
That's the one, Bear. Go back.
one more.
That's the one, yeah.
Yep, right there.
And I don't think we're showing any
Yeah.
proprietary processes
No,
here.
I
but-
don't think so either.
No, but this was Debbie Durham here for this
This
visit?
was Debbie
Yeah.
Durham, yeah.
And you picked a picture that I get. There we both are, wearing the same colors again. It was a pink day that day.
So Debbie Durham, the Iowa Finance Authority Director, came to Washington. We invited her here. And so we toured great local companies like Bravo Roof Tile, Engineered Building Designs, And we also got to go to Bazooka Farm Star. So it
We'll
was
show that picture in a sec. But also, I want to highlight, so is that Sherry right there?
Yes, Sherry Wagner.
Who will be opening the munitions plant in the former Crane building. And I know they've been moving stuff in, and we are anxious for hiring. Do you know any latest on where they are at?
Not the latest.
We'll
Probably in the spring, they're going to start the hiring process. But if you want information on them, it's sterlingammunitions.com. So
sterlingammunitions.com for the
Yeah.
future munitions
Yeah.
plant. I love seeing the pictures. It kind of leads the conversation in itself.
And with Brava, one kind of unique thing, this was started by a group of college friends.
That's right. Yeah.
That started Brava, and that's a picture of Adam right there, and he's one of them. But they make such a unique product, and it's all recycled plastic components.
It becomes composite, is that the right word? How it's compressed and it travels all around the world.
Yes, yes. And as a matter of fact, some of their biggest accounts are with Walt Disney and also Dollywood. So they do a lot of product for them.
And then we have product here in town.
Right.
Which is delightful as well.
Yeah, if you look on the courthouse roof, that is Brava roof tile. So,
Hold on.
and then they also do pavers now. So that's their latest thing.
Before we go to break, let's show the picture at Bazooka, where we also traveled. Because what a great job you get. And it's similar to mine, where we get to support industry. And this was super fun. That's the Wolverine you see there, which is one of their, well, it's a shit stirrer, really, is what it is. We don't have FCC, we can say it like it is.
So it just...
It churns in a lagoon.
Yeah, stirs up the sediment, so
you.
then you can pump it out.
Oh.
So otherwise it all settles to the bottom. So this way it gets in there and it stirs it up, and then it carries it out. So
It has to be stirred so it can be, otherwise your sediment just grows and grows and grows, and the capacity of your lagoon shrinks and shrinks and shrinks. There's other pumps that have done similar things that are like on wheels that go into the water, but this is like a remote controlled machine with a Caterpillar engine on it that
And it has a sick name, too.
they did name it pretty sick. And they designed that themselves. That is proprietary to Bazooka.
Wow.
Well, those are just a couple of the great industries that are great to talk about, Bazooka and Brava. Stick around after the break. We'll pick up where we left off with some more of those goings-ons.
Since 1905, Kelowna Cooperative Technology Company has helped our community stay connected with the latest advancements in clear, dependable telecommunications services. KCTC provides rural Iowans with access to high-speed fiber internet, as well as phone, television, computer repair, and cybersecurity solutions. We're also proud supporters of local organizations and area schools within the community. KCTC, keeping Kelowna connected.
At the Capper Auto Group, we put our customers' needs first and understand that everyone is as different as the vehicle they select. We offer new Ford, Chevrolet, Buick, GMC, Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge, and Ram vehicles in a friendly environment that puts you in the driver's seat. When it comes to service, we maintain factory-trained technicians and competitive pricing. The Capper Auto Group still believes that service after the sale provides the best customer experience. Come see the Capper experience for yourself.
Welcome back to Washington Live, powered by KCTC. We're gonna pick up where we left off with our guest today, Mary Audia, with the Economic Development Group. In the category of local events, which we missed at the top of the show, the one that you'd like to plug, share what is happening.
So we at WEDG want to do something to give back to the community. One of the things that's been brought to our attention is that people are seeking leadership classes and also stress management. So we partnered with a group called Character Counts from Drake University and the Washington High School. So on November 2nd from 2 to 4 in their auditorium, we're offering free sessions on stress management and leadership. So any and all are welcome.
Yeah, I saw this email yesterday, and it
Yeah.
does seem to be filtering right through and
Yeah.
reaching the people it needs to meet.
Yeah.
Can you describe a little bit more about what that will look like, the sessions? Are they
Yeah.
big, small, all together? What does the session look like?
Yeah. So it's going to be larger groups, and you can stay for both. You can stay for one, whatever you want to do. Each is an hour long.
And then you might switch.
And then you can switch if you like. Yeah. So they're just 1 hour in length, and we go through kind of the basics. And then further in the next few months or so, we might offer more to go around that, to expand upon leadership skills or stress management.
And this is a response to a request, right? There's really a demand for what you're offering.
Yeah.
Character Counts.
Yes, Character Counts.
November 2nd from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. So mark
Yeah.
your calendar there. One thing we can do is put anything we need in the chat. So we can
Nice.
list that event in the chat just
Okay.
with text. And if there's any other links that we should put in, we can do that too.
Wonderful.
We wanted to talk about a couple other things happening. We have the Country Club subdivision, and we have the railroad merger, which we could do a 5-part show on the latter. Let's do the Country Club subdivision first.
Yeah, so the Country Club View subdivision, I think, was a brainchild of Jeff Hazlett.
Yes.
And company. I'm not 100% sure. Who's his partner, Jaron? I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Goodwin, Scott.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, thank you. So they have been looking at the need for housing in our community and have been working on this area for a while. We did take a tour. I think
We have
there's
a ribbon-cutting picture, yeah.
a ribbon-cutting picture that we did out there with two big...
So this is by Timber Ridge, it's by the Country Club, it's nestled all into that area.
I
It's
think
the
it was
one
one of
with
the
the-
first ones.
Yep, that-
Whoop,
This
yep,
one's the
right
one.
there.
We'll show
Yeah,
that.
and you can see Isla, Deanna, and Jaron's right there. So that was the ribbon cutting that we did. And phase one of this, I believe, is going to be 30 lots.
That sounds right,
Jaron.
yes.
And then depending on the success of that, which I have a feeling is going to fill up very quickly, probably another 75 more lots.
Which will be awesome. The
Yes.
reason that I am in that photo, or the city is represented, because of the infrastructure piece that we help with, the sewer and the water, which of course means we'll have more users on sewer and water. And then the property tax value, it's called tax increment financing. So the TIF portion is how we can afford to do that and not like raise taxes on people.
Right.
We're using specifically the money from that project to pay back the money that we're using to help with the infrastructure. So happy that you're a city partner. Of course, we have the Chamber of Commerce, Main Street Washington, and then the Economic Development Group is part of that greater business partnership.
And then once a month, we actually meet. We have a housing initiative
course.
group. So if anybody's interested in meeting, just shoot me an email or text or TikTok or tweet or whatever you'd like.
I'm having guilt because I missed this month as I.
We'll get you caught up, Jaron.
All right, thank you.
No problem. It's
for
a
your
great
grace.
group. So.
Country Club subdivision. Let's talk about the railroad merger. And I cannot. You've been so helpful as we had a new city administrator coming on, and then enough on my plate, and you have so much on your plate. However, incredibly helpful coordinating
Good.
elements of the railroad merger. What should we say about it?
Well, Jaron, maybe we could start with what can people expect, because we're still trying to figure that out.
Sure.
Just a little background. The Canadian Pacific Railroad and the Kansas City Southern are merging. So that's been the talk of the town for the past, I don't know, how many months now.
It feels like it's coming on a year, but
I
maybe it's just
know.
been 9 months or 7.
I know. And this
But it
is,
takes time, which is the good
yeah,
news.
and this has been in the works for quite some time. What this means is, as far as shipping on rail, now you have a direct line between Canada and Mexico. It just happens to come through Washington County.
Yeah, the macro impact is amazing. The micro impact for our community is a little bit more than it is for many
Yeah.
because of where we're at on the line. Out at the end, there's lots of branches.
Yeah.
But here in the middle, there's less.
Pretty tight, yeah. So we're going to go from about 4.3 trains a day to about anywhere from 18 to 22 is kind of what we're hearing.
Happily, as that's a panic thing to hear, it's over the course of several years that it would reach that rate, which is nice because then it can take several years if we were to explore, and we are exploring, whether a quiet zone is appropriate, and whether that would be a full quiet zone, meaning 24 hours a day, partial, which would be, say, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. The first step is a study. So no decisions have been made on whether we do that, but the decision has been made to employ a company to do a study, which is where the last city element has been.
Yeah.
For economic development, there's a lot of good things that fall into the people that use the line here in town, or we hope so.
Because we already have Iowa Renewable Energy, IRE, is already, they have a spur, and so does EBD, Engineered Building Design. So I'm hoping that, and even Sterling Ammunitions, they might choose to maybe add a spur. I don't know yet. But I'm hoping we can ship more products in a more direct fashion, in a more efficient pattern, and allow them to be, just more profitable and successful in their fields. So
spot on. So I appreciate that. But with all of the things that you offer, the attitude that you bring is wonderful, as we want to find the best way forward and not move backwards and just figure out how to best move forward. I appreciate the teamwork there. Also, thank you to those in the chat that are so positive as well. Elizabeth and Adam saying nice things. We appreciate that. It's nice to hear. Of course, if you have anything to put in the chat, or you can also email washialive@gmail.com, your local event that you'd like plugged, anniversary, birthday, whatever you'd like to see. I do have a few birthdays today. Did you watch the show long enough to see the birthday game at the end?
Yes.
Okay, so you're prepared.
Well, I've watched it. I'm not sure if I'm prepared, Jaron.
Yeah, I don't know. And I'm not that great either. But then it depends on who we're playing and whether they're competitive. Before we go to the birthday game, you have shared the strategic plan that economic development has for 2022. Would you like to touch on a couple highlights?
Sure, I would love
to. How did you arrive at the plan? What was the path to what we have here?
Yeah, so we were lucky. We were able to bring in a facilitation group, SS Solutions out of Des Moines.
Okay.
So they came and did a workshop with our board where we all got together and came up with the most important things or where we want to go. So with this, we have our guiding principles and our outcomes that we hope to achieve. And then I wanted it narrowed down into 6 goals, something achievable, that wasn't unrealistic. I also wanted it on one page. So at every board meeting, we keep this in front of every member. I keep this on my desk so you can stay hyper-focused on what's going on. And then we'll revisit this every 3 years or so to make sure that we're staying on track. But some of the most important things are business retention and expansion, making sure we're taking great care of our current business and industry. Workforce has been a huge issue for everybody across the country. So that's another area we focus. Housing, Jaron and I were just alluding to that with Country Club View, and there's a number of different housing developments going in around the county. Childcare is huge. As we bring in workforce, they need childcare, they need housing. So it's all kind of interconnected. And then community support. I serve on a number of boards here in the community to try to help and give back, and also stay in touch with the kind of the feel of what's happening in Washington and Washington County.
As I continue to learn, I find it interesting how these things are interconnected. How housing, workforce, and childcare, while those are 3 separate things, they are all intertwined together. When you can't afford to go work because you need to be taking care of your own childcare, or you can't afford childcare, how they're all just connected, I guess is my point.
Yeah. And, we've had a lot of what I do is, reaching out to business and industry. And they've been reaching out. They need workforce. So we've been trying to come up with different solutions. We bring Iowa Workforce Development in at least once a month, where they come and help different business and industry. They'll do an analysis of what's going on and what they need. And then quarterly, we have a workforce initiative group that we meet with. So we get industry leaders together to share best practices.
Yeah, so no reason to not learn from one another and do the best that we can.
And so that's been huge. And then the child care piece, right now we're meeting with UP Home here in Washington, and we're getting collaborators together. So we brought in...
They've been doing it for a long time.
Yes. So we brought in Iowa Women's Foundation. Don Oliver was here. Tasha Begtol from ECI, Iowa. We've got the hospital at the table. We've got the Chamber of Commerce. We're hoping to bring in city partners as well to start kind of collaboration on resources to make this thing happen, and see if we can get some traction to expand their childcare number of slots that they have. Currently, they have 53. They hope to expand it to about 96.
Which is the big picture. What's really neat, Nick, about the UP home daycare, or one of the many things that I found to be neat, the residents that live there can volunteer. So often the grandparent or great-grandparent of a child care slot might live at the UP home and can come see their grandchild or other children or form these relationships. And of course, I'm sure the staffing still has to remain staffing for whatever the number is,
Definitely.
but it's just a nice perk in addition to the other good things.
And we're so fortunate in that we do have many in-home providers as well. So we're going to be reaching out to them to see what their needs are at this point too, so we can support everybody in our community. We did a study last year by First Children's Finance, and we are short 844 slots in Washington County.
That's the number. I remember. Yeah, it's a daunting.
844. So
one at a time, or one piece of that puzzle at a time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we want to support all of our child care providers in any capacity, whether it's a center, an in-home provider. So we're going to be reaching out more to all of those individuals to try to get this collaboration together. So
I'd like to share one other piece that I've learned. I mentioned how one of those things are learning how workforce housing, childcare are all related. But in the housing category, for instance, the houses that are being built, these 30 lots, these country club houses, are different than the NLW houses and price point. Or when some people, because we need housing of all types is my point, and how those are all related and kind of lean on one another, because if someone buys that lot and builds, it frees up their house, which frees up another house, and how even building one type of housing helps with all of the housing because of how it's connected. Am I saying that correctly?
No, that's perfect, Jaron. That's perfect. Because as people transition, you start in your starter home, you move to maybe a medium size as you start having kiddos, and then maybe you downsize, once the kids go off to school or whatever. So there's constant shifting, through the housing market. And we're fortunate, too, to have amazing real estate agents here in this area to help, kind of navigate that process and facilitate that process. But having the city as a partner to develop these housing developments, that's been so beneficial. So that's been really, really good.
As we do this show, Washington Live, to reach people, talk about things that people are interested to learn more about, we'll make sure we plug your contact information or the link to the website, because I know that you would be happy to talk to anyone further about any of the things we've discussed today, or any business or industry that needs assistance. You are you're the person.
And the other thing I'd like to talk about too, Jaron, is our business park, Southwest Business Park.
Absolutely.
So we just got a new business in there, Sunset Diesel. And so they're in the process of building right now, but we still have many lots available.
That was a chilly ribbon cutting that I was out of town for, but
it was really cold.
What a great thing to offer. I know we have a lot of repair available, but to specifically have that diesel focused.
Yeah.
And I think another lot sold too. You'll have to wait to see who to. I don't believe it's completely closed yet, but I'd love to have those and more lots available. And again, that goes through economic development.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So
well, we're going to close out our show in that lighthearted way with our birthday game. A few happy birthdays I have to wish are to Sherry Hack, to Sandy Griner, and to Megan Giardino. Happy birthday to you today. And how many celebrity birthdays do we have, Nick? Are you familiar with the rules, the 1 point, 3 point?
Okay.
All right. So 1 point within 3 years, 2 points if we land right on.
Yeah. So we got five. We got 5 today. And we're going to start out with, this one's always difficult because when it's like a voice actor, but it's Seth MacFarlane.
But you try to get no, he's in I
guess he's in Orville now.
That weird show.
Yeah, it's it started as like a Star Trek spoof, but.
Jaron and Mary, would you like to do ladies first, or shall I go first?
Sure. I'm going to guess 30.
So 30. I will say 34.
He is aging very well. He's 49.
well.
So we're off to a good start.
Oh, this is the use. We have 4 more to meander through.
Next up is Keith Urban.
His look always confused me, but I mean,
he kind of looks like a your friend's dad who just got divorced and is going through a midlife crisis.
Is that the case?
Yeah.
Well, I hope Keith's not watching. I doubt he is. I'll go first, I suppose. I'll say. I'm gonna go aggressive and say aging well. We'll say 52.
I'm gonna go 58.
You guys both get a point. He is 55, so you guys,
Ooh,
she's right in the middle of what you guys.
Maybe we'll tie. I like a good tie. It feels like a
Good.
gracious way to.
I'm gonna mess up this last.
Sajak.
Pat Sajak from Wheel of Fortune.
my.
Where's my cursor? There it is. He kind of has crazy eyes in this photo.
All right, so I guess you're first for this one, if you'd like to take a stab.
I'm going to go
Jeopardy.
ahead.
Who's the host of Jeopardy? Alex Trebek.
Yes.
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 That's what I was thinking of, but then Pat Sajak is
Okay,
different.
I'm going to go 67.
I will say 70.
He is 76. So he has
Both. Such a
everyone's aging. Everyone's aging well.
Be the-
This next one is Jocelyn Smith from Charlie's Angels.
I love her.
She's the only one to make it through the entire series.
I love her.
Of Charlie's Angels. Okay.
Yes.
So is it-
60. Oh, go ahead.
no,
I was going to say
Say it.
60. Wait a second. 71.
I bet you'll hit it right on if I'm not careful. I'll say 72 then.
She is 77. Another person is aging.
Well, we are tied. It's 1-1.
It's 1-1 right now, going into the final round, which is John Heater, who, if I can, a lot of photos. Napoleon Dynamite is his claim to fame.
All right, so I suppose it's my turn
Go
to
ahead,
take a stab.
Jaron.
I'll say 47.
I'm going to say 36.
He is 45. So
Do I get a point?
you get a point, Jaron. You've broken the
I
tiebreaker.
win, and I
You
would have been
do
happy to not
win.
because.
2-1.
Good job.
Well, thanks for being gracious. I would have loved to have been graciously losing to you winning today, but so it goes. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. This is great.
We'll have to have you back. There's plenty to
I would
talk
love
about. Looking forward to our next episode of Washington Live on Friday. Thanks to all of our viewers. If there's anything you'd like to share, just put it in the chat or email washialive@gmail.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.